Welcome back to Share to the Apply Scripture. I'm Jordan Shambly, joined by Wesley Wyman and Cedra Sarton. If you missed the last segment, I introduced a new thing that we're doing. This week is an emphasis week, and the emphasis that we are focusing on this week is abortion and the pro-life movement. And like we talked about in the last segment, if you haven't listened to the last segment, go back and listen to it. You go to engagemagazine.net. Click the link on the top that says radio, and our podcast is there, and you can listen to all of our podcasts.
And in our emphasis, this is not just one program. This is a week long. So we're going to have written content. We'll have short videos as well as our radio program and our podcast where we focus on an issue, which this issue, obviously, if you listen to the first segment, is going to be life.
Yeah.
Yep.
The value of human life.
New articles up every day. EngageMagazine.net this week.
There we go.
And also, if you don't want to just listen to us and you want to see us, you can check out our YouTube channel where we post up our podcast where there is video included.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, go check that out.
Jordan's like just listening to the audio.
No. Okay, so in our last segment, we kind of talked about a lot of the deception that people encounter when it comes to this topic. And honestly, this has been a feature of human history when it comes to what some people would consider undesirable groups of people or undesirable individuals. The first thing that humans tend to do is dehumanize that undesirable person. In this case is the unborn baby. The inconvenience that people seem to think that introduces to people's lives, and they say, number one, that there's no other option. You should abort the baby. There's no other option. Nobody's going to adopt. They say, number two, it's okay to abort the baby because it's not really a baby. It's just a clump of cells, which, honestly, we should know better by now. I mean, we know crazy things about the universe through science, through technology. We are without excuse when it comes to this. We have documented evidence of the personhood of an unborn baby, all the way back to conception. There's no debate. And so it's honestly not, abortion is not the only thing that's barbaric here. It's the thought process that's behind it is just savage. It's not where we're supposed to be right now. We have no excuse when it comes to this. We should know better, honestly. So we want to move on from that and kind of go into a hopeful story that is going to be kind of a feature of I think AFA has been promoting this movie for a little while now. The movie's called Unplanned, and it's the Abby Johnson story. Abby Johnson was years and years ago was a spokesperson for Planned Parenthood, was a person who really promoted abortion, the abortion option for women who were not ready to have a baby, and she encountered the truth in a very, very visceral way and changed drastically from that path that she was on.
And Unplanned is basically her. Well, no, it's not basically. It is her story.
It is her story, based off her book called by the same title, Unplanned, where she sat down and she put her story into a book as going from being one of the youngest Planned Parenthood directors, clinic directors, to being what she is now, a pro-life speaker and advocate. But her story, I think, was so much like a huge number of the women that you see that are fooled by the lies that are being fed to us on abortion, and that she really thought what she was doing was helping women.
Yeah.
And so the thing is her story is she wasn't one of the ones that went out there and was just like, get an abortion, get an abortion, get an abortion. Oh, you don't want this baby? Abort it. It's fine.
Sure.
It's where she thought that she was working to actually decrease abortions by providing them, I guess,
healthcare,
in a way, healthcare, other options. That was her goal. Like, if you look at her story, so I think.
She eventually realized the reality of abortion and her practice, and so she began to see and realize and I haven't seen the movie, so it may even be a lot quicker than this, but it may have not have been over a period of time. It may have been a one-time moment, but she realized that life is real.
Yeah, I think it was over time. I did see the movie, and I'm trying not to like just.
Yeah, we don't want you to spoil it.
I don't want to spoil it, but the movie I do. I did see the movie. I do suggest that everybody go out and see it. Well, I will say, not
we'll put the trailer up on our Facebook.
Yeah, the trailer will be up on our social media. Also, I will say it is not for small children.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Good reminder. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that it is for small children. As far as you know, the ones that have teens in the house, I will let that be up to the parents to make that decision. I do think
not for any language or sexual content, obviously, but because of the
graphic content that is abortion. But that's where a lot of people try to say that's too much, you know, and try to bury your head in the sand. I do think that some people, you know, kind of shelter their kids to the point, and I'm talking about like older kids, like small kids, obviously. Probably too much for you to take them into it, but
and I understand that some of those perspectives because, and we're getting a little off topic here, but I do understand that because some people, you know, for a Christian, you don't have to see rape to know that rape's wrong. Okay, so I understand that concept, and that's fine. So that's our fair warning. However, it's very educational, and it's very touching, and it's very emotional, and it's very convicting for those that hold a pro-choice option because of her testimony and her story. So it may not be for everyone. So there's are some heads up there on the graphics. However, I would recommend seeing it for adults and those. And I think I think it's like any other tool that we have like that brings you one more step closer to being involved and engaged on this particular topic for God's glory and for the good of that child that is not unborn yet. So.
And I would also just think, I think this is coming from someone who doesn't have children, but I would like to encourage you, if you are taking your older kids, your teens, to see this movie, that maybe you should sit down and have a discussion. You don't want to, but like a good discussion about what they're going to see before you take them in, just because it is such a big thing. But if you're, you don't want to throw it in there and just...
I had the privilege to talk to one of our supporters here at AFA and AFR a couple weeks ago, and they were telling me how important AFR was in their life and how educational it was for them and how it keeps them engaged, and it was telling me all that. They said, and this is an African American woman who lives in South Mississippi, and she said that if it hadn't have been for AFR and AFA, my 7-year-old who was listening to AFR and AFA would not have heard the word pro-life or abortion, and so he began to ask questions, what does that mean? And in his level of understanding and with his concept of words, and in the right way, she was able to explain abortion to him. And when she got through explaining what abortion was to his little mind the best she could without, with that said, the first thing his first comment was, as a 7-year-old, well, why in the world would anybody abort a baby if that's what that is? And so AF4 and AFA, we're doing our part to educate. And back to your point, being able to have those conversations with your children at the right time, you got to be prepared to give an answer. So,
but go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'll go ahead.
Let you have that.
I do think that whatever graphic content this movie has is appropriate because it is the accurate depiction of what happens, and I think that can be energizing too when we see, because unfortunately I do think that the out of sight, out of mind kind of rule does apply to everybody, and we know something's bad, and if the opportunity comes along for us to do something, we'll do something. But to actively pursue those opportunities, to actively think on the matter and talk about it and discuss it, it helps to have those energizing reminders of the horrifying reality of what this is.
And for the agenda, it is very spiritual. There's a spiritual battle going on there that is hard to see with our own eyes, but we got to look through the lens of Scripture. And you're going to have two different types of women that go to the abortion clinic. You may have more than that, but at least two. One's going to be uneducated, deceived, and in a very low situation, that's going to need education, going to need loving and care, and then you're going to have those that know exactly what they're doing, and they're very educated, and they have sold their soul to the devil, for lack of better words. And so we have to be constant in prayer. We have to be equipped. We have to be prepared, and understanding that this is a spiritual battle, and that we have to do what's right to stand up for human life, both in the womb and outside of the womb, because geographical location doesn't make a baby viable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and a lot of women are told things like, or we're led to believe, if you're a victim of rape, you shouldn't have to carry your rapist baby. And then from that, I would say, don't punish a child for somebody else's mistake. And a lot of people are not all about, it's not just about convenience for everybody. Some people it is. Some people want to be able to live their lives and they feel they'd be held down by a baby. But there are some people that are really going through some things, that are walking through that door, and they're told, and they have counselors in Planned Parenthood, these counselors that sit down and talk to them and make them feel
like this is the only option.
Yeah.
Well, now also too, it's very important, and the next weekend we're gonna get way more in depth into the statistics and the scientific side and things like that. However, I do think it's worth mentioning this point, and that's that 98% of abortions are done by convenience, and by the own words of the own mother, says they list a variety of different reasons why they're doing it, and every one of them equivalates to convenience, not to rape or incest.
Yeah.
And so 98% are done. Now, that's eye-opening for many people. If you listen to the media, or if you listen to any other, or a lot of different other locations, they're going to it's going to sound like the rape and incest is the majority.
Yeah.
Or as if that's the predominantly reasons why we got to have abortions. And that's just not the case. Only 2% make up rape or incest. 98% are done out of convenience.
Yeah. And there's huge numbers of people that have, the testing done on their babies before birth, find out that they have something like Down syndrome, and they're just trying to completely eradicate Down syndrome, but there are spokespeople out there, people with Down syndrome that are out there on the front lines speaking, saying we deserve a chance to live too, because they add so much value.
Absolutely.
And we know our own JJ Jasper here has got his little boy Bodie, and they wouldn't trade him for the world. There's so many others. So if you go look at stories from people like that,
and that's also a weak argument, because we've all got disabilities to some degree.
Seriously, everybody.
Dyslexia, where do you stop? I mean, the point is, it's a life, like you said at the beginning, life begins at conception.